Diamond B Sports presents the American Sports Cavalcade. A panorama of speed, color, drama, and excitement. The American Sports Cavalcade.
Fall can come as beautifully to Nashville, Tennessee as any place in the country. And the changing of the colors in the leaves not only signifies the end of summer, but also the end of the stock car racing season. Today, from Nashville Motor Raceway on the grounds of the Tennessee State Fair, we bring you the Miller All-American 400. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans, and this is our final coverage of what has been a spectacular season of Stock Car Connection racing. Now, as you may know by now, Stock Car Connection brings together sanctioning bodies from all over the country under one umbrella to compete for some of the biggest purses in the history of short track racing. There's the ASA from the Midwest, there's ACT from the Northeast, and there's also All Pro from down south. But today you can throw in another wrinkle because a number of top NASCAR stars have signed on with All Pro to try to get a piece of that action as well. Now, the championship has already been clinched by Butch Miller in the number 52 car. In fact, Butch has won every race this season. But Butch, there's a whole lot of drivers dedicated to seeing you not go undefeated this year.
Well, I'm pretty dedicated to see that we do go undefeated this year.
Now, one guy who's going to be a real problem for you is on the pole.
I don't know quite how to handle him yet. You know, I talked. Yeah, I know what we're talking about. But, you know, I was in the limousine with him here just a few minutes ago and talking to him, and he's not going to do exactly what I expected. He said, that, you know, I expected him to just go charge out there and just run the tires right off the car. Well, his idea is he's going to let everybody just go, you know, and save it for the end. Well, if he saves it for the end, he's already 3/10 faster. I don't know what happens after that.
Who's to say he's telling you the truth?
Well, I hope he's not telling me the truth.
Okay, Butch Miller, he has a lot of fun as well as winning a lot of races. Well, some of the drivers here this weekend have accused Mike Alexander of maybe having paved this racetrack personally because he seems to know every pore in it. Mike, congratulations on winning the pole. Did you tell Butch Miller the truth? You're going to hang back?
Well, I'm not going to run like I normally do here unless it's just really easy to do, but you know, it seems like every time we sit on the pole here, we have some kind of trouble, and I'm going to try to stay out of that today if I can.
We hope you do, too. Best of luck.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, let's go to my buddy Brock Yates for more stories here on the grid.
Well, Steve, starting on the inside of the second row is the brilliant short track driver from Batesville, Arkansas, Mark Martin, four-time ASA champion in a brand new Thunderbird. Starting beside him, one of the greatest names in all time in stock car racing and Indy car racing as well, Bobby Allison, the brilliant driver from Hueytown, Alabama, first time in the stock car connection. Welcome aboard, Bobby.
Well, thank you, Brock. Looks like a good day for a race out here.
It sure does. Race car brand new. I know you and Ray Dillon have got it all set to go. You got to feel good.
Well, I feel good about it. The car ran very good in the qualifying race yesterday, and it stayed good and consistent, which is a key thing in these kind of races, so I'm looking forward to it. You know, it'd be nice to put this Miller American Buick right in that victory lane.
Well, we sure hope so. Best of luck, Bobby.
Thank you, Brock.
All right. Now let's go to Steve with another great veteran of this kind of short track stock car racing.
Well, Brock, sitting in the number 99 car, is one of the toughest competitors and one of the winningest drivers in the history of short track stock car racing. The fans will tell you that. The racers will tell you that. Dick Trickle, how do you feel about this half mile in Nashville?
Well, I think this is going to be the premier race of the year, and the competition's here, and the fans are here. It's a beautiful day, and if this isn't one of the most prestigious short track races in history of short track racing, I won't believe it, with NASCAR stars and SEC stars, ASA All Pro and Canadian Tour. I'm just glad to be here sitting in the fourth row right now and hope we're in the front row when it ends.
And we're pleased to be here watching you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, now right alongside this particular car, the 99 car, Dick Trickle, will be a man who's having a homecoming of sort, Rusty Wallace, who began his racing career with ASA. In fact, he was one of the dominating forces until he went on the NASCAR tour. And Rusty, you're now driving a car prepared by your little brother. It's got to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sure is, Steve. There's no doubt about that. It's going to be an exciting race. I won it a couple years ago, but this is a new car I'm not used to, so might have to work it out a little bit.
What's the toughest part of this track? Are the corners the same? They look like they are.
Yeah, they sure are, Steve. The corners are the same. The toughest part about Nashville's track is getting off the corners. It gets real slippery, and it's going to be a hot day today, so I expect it's going to be real slippery on the top side of the track. I mean, on the lower side, and cars will probably have to move to the top to get a little bite.
Okay, go get them. We'll be watching.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, Brock.
Steve, one of the all-time greats of stock car racing, a man who cut his teeth literally here on this Nashville Speedway, back for a little visit with a stock car connection, Darrell Waltrip.
Yeah, good to be here. I love Nashville, you know. This is my home, and I sure like to run well today. I sure hope I can stay up front and run with the big boys.
Well, you managed to do that on occasion. I wouldn't think that'd be too big a problem. Ought to be a great race. So you got a super field and a bunch of folks up here excited to get started.
This has turned into one of the biggest races in the country. It's the last race of the year for a lot of these guys, and they come here with their equipment just immaculate. And the competition in this series has just improved over the years. I used to win these races with a 64 Chevelle.
Not today. Need more than that today, Darrell.
Yeah, you'd have to have a real trick 64 Chevelle now. But the Tide car's running good, and Eddie Jones and Donnie Richardson, they've worked real hard. We've been working on this car ever since we got here, just like a Winston Cup deal. And we're ready to go, we think.
Well, we sure wish you luck. We'll be watching. Best of luck, Darrell.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
Okay, Darrell Waltrip, and starting beside him, a young man who's first time in Nashville, a brilliant driver from up north, started down in Tampa, Florida, now living up in Vermont. Robbie Crouch, the American-Canadian Tour champion. Robbie, got to be kind of fun to race down here in Nashville.
Hi, Brock. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a great track, and we've enjoyed the 4 days we've been here.
Got a good start, good starting position right up near the front, and ought to be a good race.
Well, it's not bad. You know, I think you can win from this spot, no problem. The car's working real good. Certainly the heat races yesterday were real beneficial, and we think that we've gone the right way with our adjustments, but we won't find out until we run about 30 or 40 laps.
Well, we're going to be watching. Best of luck, Robbie.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, now let's go to Steve.
Well, this field comes complete with a pair of Allisons. Bobby, of course, we've already talked about, and this is son Davey. And Davey, you've had great success this year with heavier but more powerful race cars. What's the difference? The lighter car with not quite the horsepower.
Well, you have to be just a little more careful with these cars. Being lighter, they're a little bit touchier on the suspension and their chassis setups, and you can really lose one of these cars in a hurry if you're not careful.
What about the chassis setup in these cars?
They're quite a bit different from what I'm accustomed to, and the reason for that is we run coil-over shocks on these cars, and we run the larger diameter coil springs on the Winston Cup cars.
Okay, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, and starting alongside Davey Allison will be a man who has been runner-up to Butch Miller at every one of these events. Hasn't won one, but hasn't finished worse than second, and that's Ted Musgrave. And Ted, tell me about pit strategy here. It's a long race, 400 laps.
Pit strategy is really going to be important here because of the pit facilities. It's going to play a major role, I believe, in the 400-lapper, and also I think a guy that's really steady today will do it.
Well, Brock, the word has gone out to go racing.
And Steve, we've got a massive crowd on here at the Tennessee State Fairgrounds, a bunch of folks that have come from all over the East Coast to watch perhaps the finest field of short track stock car drivers ever accumulated. Mike Alexander and Butch Miller on the pole, Mark Martin, Bobby Allison, Bobby Dodder, and Bob Seneker in row 3, and the list goes on and on and on. Beautifully prepared automobiles ready to do battle on this approximately 6/10 of a mile high bank speedway here that has been the scene of so many great races over the years. And also, don't forget, a whole bunch of great country and western stars have also entertained the folks here in past seasons and great fairground action.
That's right. This has been part of the annual fanfare activity, this particular fairgrounds here in Nashville. And you know, a lot of the names of these drivers are as familiar in their particular regions as a Darrell Waltrip is down south.
Absolutely, Steve, and fans have followed their favorites from all corners of the country to watch them run against each other here. Now, down at row 20, you're going to see a name that's familiar. Sterling Marlin from right here in Nashville is a former track champion, as was his father, Cuckoo Marlin. He now a Winston Cup star, come back to run here on a promoter's option. So they're all gathered together. They're underway. We're going to see a start of the Miller All-American 400 after this.
We're back at Nashville Motor Raceway, where the start of the Miller All-American 400 is just moments away. You're riding with Dick Trickle, car number 99, who's carrying one of two onboard cameras. Also, we have two-way radio capabilities with Trickle, Steve Grissom, our other camera car, and a number of other drivers in the field. So that should be a lot of fun today. 400 laps of tough racing. Now, I mentioned Steve Grissom. He is one of the drivers in the All-Pro organization. And here's how that camera will look from the cockpit of his machine. Let's see if we can raise Steve on the radio.
Steve Grissom, this is Steve Evans, Diamond P Sports. Do you copy? Hey, Steve. Well, young man, you're on one of the most famous short tracks in the country, maybe the stiffest field you've ever faced. How do you feel? A few butterflies?
Well, not really no butterflies. Just right now, trying to figure out a strategy, what we're going to try to do when the green flag drops.
Most importantly, these early laps, I guess, is to stay out of trouble, other people's.
Yeah, that's number one thing. To finish first you got to finish. So we're just going to try to play it cool for the first couple of hundred laps, try to stay out of trouble and stay in the lead lap and hopefully be around at the end of the race to make a go for the win.
Hopefully we'll talk to you later. Thank you.
400 laps. That is roughly 240 miles around 6/10 of a mile High Bank Speedway. Everybody in the place on their feet, and we're going down. We've got a green flag. The race is on, Steve.
Absolutely, Brock. A tremendous start. Everybody was on their feet. Here is a view from Dick Trickle's car, number 99, and you can see just up in front of him is Bobby Allison.
So there is Mike Alexander in that blue and white automobile being challenged by Bush Miller in the white 52 as they come down to complete the first lap. We've got a spin.
More than one, Brock, down in turn number 4. There's the orange car, number 36, Joe Shear. He is getting back underway. Sideways, though, still not moving the 0 car of Tom Jones. Also involved is 16 car of David Green, the 45 car of Dave Jackson. A big mess early on.
There goes Green. He gets back underway, but you can see the hood on that race car is stoved in, so he may have to make a stop. We got debris all over the racetrack. Tom Jones, one of the good runners in ASA, he's still parked. Let's see how that happened one more time as the field sweeps off turn number 4. That's Joey Shear getting tucked in behind the black car 81 of Harold Fair, and then Green behind him in the white 16. They both spin, but it forces some other race cars high up onto the racetrack. Tom Jones in the 0 car spins down low, but as Shear seems to get underway, you can see here that there are more cars involved, specifically 45 Dave Jackson and number 70 Steve Gurgis, who will slide to the left side of your screen out of the frame for a minute, but then they're going to reappear here in just a moment, scrubbing along the fence. There is the 45 car of Jackson, and right behind him with sheet metal flying is number 70 Steve Gurgis. So really 5 cars involved. There's the 45 car of Jackson with a lot of rear end damage. Loveland, Ohio. He's an ASA regular. It looks like the crew's going to use that ever-effective super tape to get back underway, Steve.
And this is the first crew who has experienced this very unusual pit layout here at Nashville. Earlier, we had an opportunity to take a look at how this works, and believe me, it is quite different. The usual pit road here at Nashville today will be deserted because there's no way it could handle 40 racing teams. Now, here's how it's all going to work. Now, when the pace car, in the case of a yellow, crosses the start-finish line, for a change, the drivers will be able to pass the pace car. That's allowed. They'll accelerate up to the entrance of turn number 1 at the end of the wall. They'll make a left turn and enter a semicircle of a pit road. Now, this uses a little quarter-mile oval here at Nashville. They'll find their designated pit spot. The crews will go to work. Now, when the work is completed, they have to very carefully pick their way through the rest of this semicircle and re-enter the racetrack at the exit of turn number 4, and that's where things could get pretty sticky, right, Brock?
Well, Steve, as you say, getting into the pits here at Nashville can be tricky, but it's nothing compared to getting back out. Based on what that big wide turn 4 is, right here at the exit of the pits is Doc Cheatham. Now, he's an ASA official. He's got himself a stop and go sign here. And, well, you explain it from here on. It gets tricky, right, Doc?
Yes, the pits are so confining here at Nashville. It's hard to get the cars out because it's really close in there. There's not enough room for all the race cars in those pits. And so they have to basically beat the pace car. As the pace car drops them off down towards turn 1, they have to beat the pace car out down here in turn 4.
That's where you using your stop and go sign. So you hold them in the pits until they line up behind the pace car, right?
Right, after the field goes by, then they can go out. And then when the field comes back in, they have to fall in on the tail end.
Okay, one last question. What happens when you're out here in the middle of the pit lane trying to hold guys up, and here comes somebody wailing off turn number 4? What do you do then?
It's heads up. Everybody's for himself. That's why I have a big stick on here.
And I hope you got room to jump out of the way.
Try to move fast sometimes.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, so the man named Doc has got a lot of responsibility. They're still under caution, about to go green. Mike Alexander, the number 8 car, is the leader. Butch Miller at 52, right in behind him. Then Mark Martin, Bobby Allison, and Bobby Dowder. That's the top 5.
Got a green, Steve. The track is clear, and we're racing again as Mike Alexander jumps off to another lead. There is Steve Grissom back there in the middle of the pack with his onboard camera showing us what it's like here on the fabulous 0.6 of a mile at Nashville.
You know, that accident in the very early going, I think, spooked everybody a little bit, Brock. They're a little more conservative now. They're kind of lining up and saying, let's settle down here, boys, before we have any more contact.
Well, there's Mike Alexander in that blue and white, beautiful automobile, the number 8 car moving out. Butch Miller right behind him. Mark Martin, those 2 winners of the 50-lap qualifiers we saw last week, those guys right in position to challenge Alexander.
And in the 7th spot is Dick Trickle, car number 99. Look at him sawing that wheel. He's carrying our onboard camera, as you can readily see. And just up in front of him is the 27 car of Rusty Wallace, the Pontiac.
Well, you got a big decision to make here in these early stages. Do you kind of sit back and set a pace and risk being outrun by a couple of hot guys who are going to move out front, or do you stay up with the leaders and drive it as hard as you can? You really got a little choice, but to just stay in there, because otherwise people are going to just run right away from you.
Well, Mike Alexander told us and Butch Miller that he didn't intend to run up front unless it was very easy to do. Well, Alexander is up front right now, and I don't think it's all that easy. He's just a race car driver, and he's not going to give any positions away.
Well, surprised, as you say, he has moved out to about a 10-car length lead on Butch Miller, who in turn has opened up a little bit on Mark Martin. So Mike Alexander at this point is hardly feather-footing it out there.
That's right, but you can bet that Butch Miller is not going to fall for any tricks if Alexander is trying to be a rabbit or whatever. Miller is going to run his own pace because it's conserving those tires between pit stops that can make the difference between winning or losing here at Nashville, or for that matter, any other short track. Be with us when we come back to Nashville Motor Raceway. In this kind of racing, just about anything can happen, and usually does.
This is the home of Nashville's most famous resident. And no, he didn't play a guitar and sing country songs. He was a president of the United States, Andrew Jackson, Old Hickory, who lived in this beautiful home in the 1820s called the Hermitage, now a National Historic Monument.
Well, back at Nashville Motor Raceway, a tremendous duel for the 3rd position between number 2, Mark Martin, number 22, Bobby Allison, number 27, Rusty Wallace. Up front still, the number 8 car of Mike Alexander, who sat on the pole, and alongside him in the front row, and still in the 2nd position, is Butch Miller's number 52 Camaro.
And look at Bobby Allison challenging Rusty Wallace. Allison goes high. Allison staying up in that high groove, while Rusty Wallace takes the low road through turn number 4. Good race between these 2 Winston Cup stars.
Well, Rusty Wallace told us earlier, Brock, that in the initial laps of this race, you can probably stay down low, but as the turns get greasier, you'll no doubt have to move up high. And look at Allison just in front of Wallace.
So Bobby Allison currently in the 4th spot here, but boy, there's a long, long way to go. 400 laps around this very difficult racetrack here in Nashville as the field streaks past the start-finish line, and Bobby Allison, 22, sets his sights on number 2, Mark Martin. And there is Bobby Dowder, one of the big stars at ASA, in the number 79 Thunderbird, and he appears to to be out, Steve.
He is already back in the garage area. They call it that even though they don't have a garage. But I'll tell you, our camera car number 31, Steve Grissom, he is running in the 13th position. Just up in front of him is the 28 car of Davey Allison, and up ahead of Allison in the 11th spot is the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip running a nice pace.
Right, as we watch Grissom in that red and white 31 dive down low, trying to get past the 28 black and white car of Davey Allison. There is Father Allison, Bobby Allison, taking on Mark Martin, and I think he's going to get him. Yes, he does, Steve, and he will move into third place. Bobby Allison takes Mark Martin down the front straightaway.
And he took him with a lot of confidence. The Buick just moved down underneath the Thunderbird and said, see you later. And now he's pulling away. And there is Rusty Wallace now right behind Martin in the 27 car.
Right. So it could be that Mark's going to let up a little bit. It's a long way to go. And you'll see some jockeying here to let the cars just preserve the brakes and preserve the tires. So, but right now, Bobby Allison has just said sayonara. He's moving away from both of them.
Well, also, Rusty Wallace in the 27 car has moved past Mark Martin. We don't see any smoke or any evil handling characteristics from Martin's car. I think Martin is just running his own pace, Brock.
It could be. This is a racist strategy. You got to worry about your pit stops, work the caution flags properly, so you can fall way back and then move right back up again.
Uh-oh, here's a local favorite out of the car. He started in the last row, and he's one of the first to retire. Sterling Marlin is out of his machine. One of the crew members has moved to the rear portion of the automobile. It's already up on the jack, and apparently a problem with the brakes, rear axle, something back there. Let's go to Brock in the pits.
How about Fred Rompler, the crew chief on Bobby Daughter's number 79? He just retired. What's the problem, Fred?
I just called on the radio, said he lost the motor.
Too bad. He was running well.
He was running real well. I'm surprised.
That's the way it goes. We're sorry he's out. And now let's go to Steve with Sterling Marlin.
Well, Sterling, sorry to see you out so early. The crew was looking at the differential or brakes or something at the rear.
Got an oil leak somewhere. Evidently the rear end's going out and it's smoking, and you know, if you keep running, it just burn the rear end up. So decided to just park it.
It's a very hot, nice day, but hot. How's the track holding up thus far?
Well, the track's real greasy. You know, a hot day here, it gets greasy, and everybody. The groove's gonna work up on the high side, so whoever's got the car set up to work high will win.
Okay, again, sorry to see you out.
Thank you.
Well, there's words from a man who was a former track champion, so he ought to know. Unfortunately, he's out for the day.
Well, still, that battle continues for the 12th position. Steve Grissom in 13th in the 31 car with our camera on board. Just in front of him is Davey Allison, the 28 car. But Grissom appears to be making a move on Davey Allison, the most authoritative we've seen Grissom so far as far as trying to get that 12th spot. Look at him, Brock. He's going down low.
He sure is. So he's going to try to get underneath Davey Allison as they head off turn number 2. And Steve's got the good line going into 3, so he may move into that 12th position. In fact, he does. Yes, Steve Grissom moves past Davey Allison to take over 12.
Did you notice, Brock, when he was coming out of turn number 4, he had to make a violent correction with the steering wheel. What Sterling said is absolutely right. It's already getting greasy down low coming off the turns.
So we'll see if Steve can move up high and make that race car handle in the high groove. And right now, he's doing well as you watch the car work its way off turn number 4 and down the front straightaway.
Well, Grissom has not only passed Allison, he's actually pulling away from him now. You can see several more car lines. Oh, and here is Claude Leclerc, the 11th car from Canada, apparently out of the race, or at least in the pits, Brock, and I don't believe the engine is running.
Tough break for the Canadian favorite, a man who is a veteran of competition in the Northeast, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Quebec. Out apparently for the day as he's parked his car along pit road. There is Bush Miller in the white 52. Remember now, he is, as you said earlier, Steve, undefeated in Stock Car Connection competition. Right now sitting in the number 2 spot, but being challenged right behind him by that red or white number 22 of Bobby Allison. And now let's go to Steve in the pits.
Well, no one came further to race today than Claude Leclerc. Claude, what happened to the car?
The electrical is gone. Maybe the box or distributor is broke. I don't know.
Sorry to see you out so early.
That's the part of the game.
C'est la vie, Claude Leclerc.
A tough break for Colin Leclerc, okay, as you say, came so far to race such a short distance. As we watch Butch Miller being challenged now by Bobby Allison for that second spot, Steve Evans.
Oh, yeah, Butch Miller knew, Brock, even though he had dominated this series in Montreal and Cincinnati. Oh, we have got a car spun right down to the back straight. That is 57, Donnie Strickland, and that is going to bring out the second caution of the day. Yes, the yellow flags are waving all over Nashville Motor Raceway. We'll be back for the restart of this event in just a few moments. Stay with us.
You're watching Dick Trickle, currently riding in 6th spot in the Miller All-American 400. Head for the pits, as we've got a caution here at Nashville, Steve Evans.
That's right, Brock. They're all heading for that kind of an oddball pit layout. They'll dive down low inside. As soon as they cross the start-finish line, they dash ahead of the pace car and make this left turn into the pits. And there is the number 8 car of Mike Alexander, the blue and white machine. He is the leader, and he has selected the pit closest to turn number 4. And that's good thinking. He'll have an easier time out than anybody else.
Yeah, the big jam-up is not so much getting in, Steve, but it's getting back out as we watch Alexander's crew go to work. Here comes Trickle. His pit stop or pit location is just about in the middle of that little quarter-mile track. He's going to have some more problems. There's Butch Miller in the 52 car, the number 2 automobile. He, too, is right at the exit of the pit. There goes Alexander. There goes Miller. There's one of the slower cars out around him. Trickle's still up on the jack stands. Now he gets underway. Boy, this is a jam-up in here.
There's tires rolling everywhere, people running everywhere. A race car driver has to be more careful in the pits here at Nashville than he does on the racetrack itself. Trickle gets back out on the track. The yellow flag still waving on the starter stand.
So most of the leaders are underway. Now, while we're under caution, let's take a look at the rules that govern these cars. First of all, a 9-to-1 compression ratio engine, 390 CFM spec carburetor, and allowable weight determined by the body style and the engine make. Now, this can be an area of considerable dispute.
Stock car racers are notorious for the many dubious ways they have of, shall we say, fudging the rules a bit, particularly when it comes to the all-important weight restrictions. Now, these guys know what the car weighs before it gets to the official scales because they all have their own scales, these electronic Webco portable types. Now, when it does get here, the car's weighed with the driver and his equipment. Now, it wouldn't be unnatural to find an empty goggle box, guy getting ready for a big race, right? Doesn't weigh anything. Oh, here's another one that does weigh something. How about 14 pounds of lead inside? Now, of course, every driver is going to have his gloves on board here, just good old typical race car driving gloves. That one is, anyway. Now, this one, of course, is another story, because inside is a 7-pound scuba weight. Oh, and look here. Everybody puts a rag in the exhaust collector to keep the cold air from going up and bending a hot valve. This one must have fallen out. Oh, no wonder it fell out. It also has got 7 pounds of lead in it. Oh, and the forgetful crew chief has left a roll of duct tape here. Or will I? Oh, my God, how crafty. 23 pounds of lead disguised as a roll of tape. Now, this 17 car is not an offender that we know of. We just borrowed it for illustration purposes. But the tech guys tell me there's one thing they found that somehow got away. An 80-pound helmet.
Well, it never stopped. All right, back in the pits. Leader, Mike Alexander. Left rear wheel. They've got lug nut problems. They can't seem to get that wheel mounted properly. Now, remember, under caution in this race, you can only change 2 tires. So, all the leaders came in, did the right side, then took a lap, then came in and worked and changed the left side. Now, that worked fine for all the leaders except Alexander, who apparently has 2 of those lug nuts cross-threaded, and the crew is working hard to correct it. Back underway, but let's hope that he can stay out there. They are very concerned.
And of course, all of this pit action, and particularly the problems with Mike Alexander, has really scrambled the leaderboard. Let's take a look here. Shown as the leader right now is number 84, Bob Seneca. He only came in the pits once, took on 2 tires. Likewise, Dick Trickle and Robbie Crouch. So they're now at the forefront of things. With the second stop, Butch Miller slipped back to 5th. But Mark Martin flew back to 8th. Bobby Allison to 9th position. So they took a little extra time, but they've got 4 tires, and that's worth some time on the track.
But Darrell Waltrip moved up a spot, so he benefited a little bit as we're back under green, Steve. And that is Bob Seneca in the 84 car leading it. You can see him right ahead of Dick Trickle in the 99 car riding in 2nd spot. And of course, these 2 guys have raced each other for almost as long as stock car racing has been going on, really.
Well, handsome young Robbie Crouch in the 48 car, he's about to become part of this 3-way battle for the lead. Here is Trickle trying to set his sights on Seneca, going down low, and look at Robbie Crouch. He is really coming coming up on Dick Trickle in the 48 car.
That's right. Dove underneath Jody Ridley in that blue 98 to take over the third spot. But look at Butch Miller down low on the inside. Miller making a charge at everybody there in that white 52. So Butch Miller, who was, of course, riding in second before that caution, took on the 4 fresh tires, and that could be the payoff for him.
Well, Miller had gotten around Jody Ridley and then stumbled a bit, and Ridley repassed him.
Well, look at Bob Seneker, who's opened up some considerable distance on Dick Trickle and leads this thing at an open track ahead of him. There is Robbie Crouch, though, taking Trickle on the outside, as does Jody Ridley. So Dick Trickle has faltered. Now, whether or not he has suddenly discovered that he should have taken the extra time to put on 4 fresh tires, I don't know. But he's fallen back, way back. There goes Miller by him on the outside.
And Jody Ridley as well. So Dick Trickle indeed is falling back, and he's running down low.
So here come your leaders. There's Robbie Crouch, 48. Jody Ridley in the 98 car. And there is that view of Dick Trickle falling even farther back.
Rusty Wallace and Kenny Wallace have gotten around him.
So he may be headed for the pit, Steve. He just got to have some problems here, unless he's decided just to fall back and cool it and wait for another caution to change those tires. But right now, Dick Trickle has fallen back from second, way out of contention. Here comes Butch Miller, though, in that 52, making his charge toward the front.
Going right around Jody Ridley. Trying to. That is Miller on the inside of the blue car. Ridley, Chevrolet versus Thunderbird, and it looks like Miller is going to come out of that ahead. Yes, he does. Goes right around him and moves in behind the 48 car, Robbie Crouch.
Sets his sights on Robbie Crouch, who is now sitting in the second spot. Your leader, Bob Seneker, has got himself a substantial margin right now. He's moved well out in front of everybody, but he is going to have to contend with Butch Miller if Miller continues to drive like he is.
Well, the main thing that the driver of this number 99 car, Dick Trickle, is trying to do is stay on that lead lap. You can let him get out ahead of you a bit, but don't let him come around you or you're a lap down, and those will be tough to get back.
There is Miller up high around Robbie Crouch, is now into the second spot. Now he's got about a half a straightaway to make up before he can move in on Bob Seneker.
And look at Rusty Wallace in the 27 car, running a little bit higher than Robbie Crouch. He swept right around Crouch's 48 car into that third position. Rusty Wallace is flying out there. Crouch, I think, a little bit surprised to see how he came around. Rusty Wallace headed down into turn number 4. He's running very low, almost as if he might. Brock, I believe Rusty Wallace is going into the pit. He appeared to be running fine when he passed Robbie Crouch.
Headed toward his pit, so he's not retiring, Steve. He's going to jump into the pits. He's got some kind of a problem. What a costly difficulty for poor Rusty Wallace under green as we watch Butch Miller now begin to challenge Seneker for the lead. Well, in fact, he's going to drive right by him.
Well, they said you couldn't run low this deep into the race. Nobody told Butch Miller that. Is on the inside. He is trying, and I believe is going to take Bob Seneker for the lead. Yes, sir.
So, Butch Miller, after changing 4 tires as opposed to Seneker's 2, retakes the lead, and it's probable that those 4 fresh tires will pay off for him. So the new leader, Butch Miller, and do I see history beginning to repeat itself again? Miller's won 3 of these races. Can he do it again? Stick around. We'll be back with more of the Miller All-American 400.
Don't despair, race fans. No one has turned your TV dial to the Discovery Channel. We just couldn't resist this cute little squirrel right outside the racetrack. It's a good thing squirrels are not in season right now, or as visible as he is, he could be in big trouble. He's going to hide a little dinner for later on, storing up some things for the cold winter to come. And here's some guys that'd like to get a big paycheck for the cold winter to come. And right now the prime candidate for that is Butch Miller in car number 52.
Right, Steve. He just drove right past Bob Seneker to take over the lead. Bobby Allison, Mark Martin, Dick Trickle falling back there. Darrell Waltrip still holding on to that 10th spot. I think a lot of folks, that giant crowd up there in the grandstand, by the way, packed house, came out to see Darrell and probably expected he'd do a little better than he's doing right now. Robbie Crouch, though, a real surprise. Crouch, a fine race driver from up north, has had kind of teething problems with this Stock Car Connection deal because their cars have been totally different. But right now, it looks like he's hooked up.
Yeah, well, so is the 22 Buick of Bobby Allison. He is hooking right on by Jody Ridley to pick up the 5th position, and I'm sure Allison is going to want more. He fell back on that last pit stop. He's making up for that time now. Look at him go.
Well, they've got a brand new car, as he said earlier, Steve, and the farther they go with that thing, they probably made some chassis adjustments. adjustments during that stop as well. So Allison definitely on the move, and in his sights is Kenny Wallace, Rusty's younger brother, in that yellow number 6. So I sure hope old Kenny's got his eye in his rearview mirror right now.
You know, it's got to be an odd sensation for a young driver like Kenny Wallace, who's never really raced with the NASCAR stars, to look in his mirror and see, oh my goodness, it's one of my heroes of all time, Bobby Allison. He's trying to pass me. Well, Kenny won't make it easy, I can guarantee you that. Wallace has learned a lot in the last season or two. Now, you see Allison, he tried down low, then he tucked in behind, trapped it a little bit, and now he moves to the outside, where this track is supposed to work at this stage in a race. And it's working just fine right now for Bobby Allison. He's going to get around Kenny Wallace and take over that 4th position. There, he uses his horsepower down the front straight away. Well, when Brock talked to Bobby Allison this morning before the race, and he told us the story of the new race car, he seemed pretty confident, and now I can understand why. Even though they've had very little testing time for that 22 Buick, they are still out here running lap times equal almost to that of the leader, Butch Miller, and who's to say? With a few more pit stops and tires and chassis adjustments, they may be right there. In fact, Bobby Allison looked so good out on the racetrack that Brock Yates has moved over to his pit to talk to one of his crew people. Let's go down there right now.
Jimmy's really flying out there. He got it all hooked up on that last stop, huh?
Yeah, we got different right-side tires to change the stagger, and the car feels pretty good to him. But it's a long ways to go yet.
Got to be happy, though.
Yeah, he's pretty happy.
That all-important stagger, they run slightly larger tires on the right side of the automobile to cause it naturally to turn left. And if you get it exactly right, well, you can do what Bobby Allison is doing right now, moving up and going inside the 48 car of Robbie Crouch, trying to take that 3rd spot away. Nobody out on the racetrack right now is rolling any harder than Bobby Allison is, and he takes that 3rd position. Robbie Crouch drops back now to number 4.
Well, Steve, it's obvious that Crouch did not make that 4th tire change during that last caution. Bobby did, and it's now paying off for him in a big way.
And in fact, here is Mike Alexander, who had the problems in the pits when he came in for that 2 extra tires, and he looks immediately right at those lug nuts. Rob Yates was right on his report from down there that that's what the problem was. He apparently had some lug nuts stripped. Now here, oh, look at this. Bobby Allison right around Bob Seneca, and that will put him into the 2nd position. Tremendous racing. Well, the man who started on the pole, and who many, including yours truly, felt had a good chance of dominating this event, has had big problems in the pit area, and right now down there with him is Brock Yates.
Steve, I'm with Mike Alexander, who put up a beautiful show until the left rear wheel began to act up. Exactly what was it, Mike?
Well, when they put the lug studs on there, they cross-threaded 2 of them, so we can't run with it 3 lug nuts. So they're going to try to get it fixed, but it's unfortunate for us.
You just got a real bad shake in the left rear, is that what it was?
Yeah, it watered out the wheel with only 3 of them on there, so either we're going to tear the race car up or fix it.
Well, we can see you had trouble on that first stop, and I knew it was going to be a problem. We're awful sorry.
Thanks a lot. We'll try them again next time.
Good show up to there.
Thank you.
Well, it's amazing that that kind of problem doesn't occur more often than it does, considering how quickly the crews with those impact wrenches remove and reinstall these wheels. It's absolutely incredible. But it has bitten Mike Alexander today. And here on the inside is the 48 car of Robbie Crouch. He is tangling with Bob Seneca, but so far unable to get around him, Brock.
No, these 2 guys going at it here at the Nashville Motor Raceway. More of the Miller All-American 400 coming at you. Stay around.
Well, the caution flags are out here at Nashville Motor Raceway in the Miller All-American 400 because this man in car number 9 has just spun. That is Beaver Dragon. The field is now slowing down, prodding him behind the pace car and preparing Brock Yates to make this weird pit stop.
Absolutely, Steve. There goes Butch Miller making the big left turn down into that little quarter-mile speedway. It'll go all the way around into basically what's turned forward for his pit. Here comes Bobby Allison. He's going to stop right behind Miller. So they're going to change the right side. Now, remember now, under caution, you only get 2 tires to change. There goes Mark Martin in the number 2 car. There's Allison's 22. They'll get right side rubber on that. Of course, they are the tires that take the most wear. There is Kenny Wallace getting a drink of water. Kenny says, I need a little dehydration cure out here. He's underway.
And look at this, Brock. He has beat the 48 car, Robbie Crouch, out of the pits. That is going to move Kenny Wallace up into the 3rd position. And we talked about this cramped pit area. Well, there you see the problems that can create. They had to push that car back. It appears that he possibly stalled the motor. They're going to bump start it. Robbie Crouch's engine is running. Back out of the racetrack already is the 52 car of Butch Miller. Let's see if Butch is in a talkative mood right now.
Butch Miller. Go ahead, Steve. That was a magnificent pit stop. We got it in under 14 seconds. Your guys are terrific.
Oh, those guys, I tell you, I think I'm going to get rid of them because I don't hardly get a chance to get a glass of water, you know, and I'm plenty thirsty.
As is everybody else, including yours truly. How's the car handling?
What we did is we put a giant push in the car, and it doesn't handle for 25 or 30 laps, and then it starts to come to me a little bit. But I just can't see us getting the car perfect today.
I've never talked to you this way when the car was ever perfect, and I guess that's why you win so many races. You're never totally satisfied. Good job. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
So Butch Miller holds on to the lead after a beautiful stop. And is he a cool customer or what, Steve?
Boy, I'll say. In fact, that crew is going to buy him a thermos bottle he can carry inside the car. They're not about to slow down for him to get refreshments. But here's a car that apparently is not very cool. This is Steve Grissom's car number 31, one of 2 machines carrying our onboard camera. The hood is coming up. He may have exploded the motor out of this one, Brock.
Yeah, he's got some heating problems for sure. It's hard to say what it is, but he's still in the car. Window net is still in place. Tough break for Steve. He was riding in the 12th spot before this caution came out, and this is going to put him way, way back because these laps count now, don't forget.
All right, we're 1 lap from green, and here's how they stand. Butch Miller, number 52, leading, followed by Allison in the 22 car, Kenny Wallace, Bob Seneker, Mark Martin in that order. That's the top 5. Here's the next 5. Jody Ridley in 98, Harold Fair, a good steady job today in the 81 car. Robbie Crouch has fallen back to 8. Waltrip hanging in there, moving up a little bit. He is in the 9th spot.
Well, Dick Trickle's fallen a lap back, but the big winner was Kenny Wallace, Steve. Big loser, Robbie Crouch, as we go to green.
That's right, and there is Butch Miller, car number 52, flying around the high side of the 41 car, who is a lap down. And just behind Miller, there comes Bobby Allison, and how about young Kenny Wallace? That yellow car is hanging in there. In fact, the 3 of them are just moving away from everyone else.
Well, you saw Kenny Wallace make that rapid pit stop, which jumped him a whole bunch of spots. As I said earlier, Crouch and Trickle had slow stops, and that dropped them back. So as you said earlier, Steve, the pits are playing a major role as far as the congestion is concerned.
Now, Dick Trickle is right in and amongst these cars, all battling for that 4th position. He is just behind the 2 car, the Thunderbird, the brown machine of Mark Martin. Martin is in 4th. Then just behind Trickle, who we're running with now, is Bob Seneker. Now, I wonder if Seneker can get around Trickle as hard as Trickle is driving now. Being a lap down, he's got to try to get it back.
Oh, yeah, no question. As we watch the leader, Butch Miller, and right behind him, Bobby Allison, and he is definitely making a move there. He's got the business teeth, and race car is running just perfectly, and he's not giving an inch to Butch Miller right now. In fact, I think he's moving up on a little bit. There's Steve Grissom again.
That's right, and the crew is now, it looks like they're, oh, the hood is down. They're going to send him back out, Brock.
Well, they've apparently cured whatever the problem is. It's, I would imagine, it looks like they had a water hose over there. I think he's just running real hot, but Steve is a real competitor. He'll get back underway and try to go as far as he can. Round he sweeps onto that little short track exit onto the racetrack. There's Ted Musgrave. He is slowing too.
Yeah, Musgrave has got some problems pulling to the inside. So the man who has been second to Butch Miller at all the races this year appears to be having some serious problems. Look at this race for 3rd, Brock. It's a yellow car on the outside. Young Kenny Wallace, number 6. Mark Martin, vastly more experienced on the inside of the Thunderbird, trying to bend him off.
Good race. Kenny has really got the business teeth after he had that great pit stop and just jumped him up in the standings. And now he says, hey, I can run with the big boys, and he sure is. Fine young race driver, as Rusty, his older brother, said. He started out to be a crew chief and finally got behind the wheel and said, hey, this is pretty good. I like this.
All right, here's 97 Ted Musgrave. He is staying in the car. The window net's still up. One of the crewmen with some jack stands to go under the car. That indicates usually, Brock, that he's going to be there for a while, and they're paying attention to something at the very rear of the automobile. So apparently this will not be an in and out for Ted Musgrave. Anytime they get those axle stands, and that's a great idea, by the way, those stands, to in case something happened to that jack, to keep that car from falling on any of the crew. That's good thinking and something that everybody should do when they work under their car, in a race or at home in your driveway.
That's right.
Houston. And look at this. Bobby Allison is slowing. Bobby Allison is headed for the garage area. Bobby Allison is apparently out of this race. He didn't pull into the pits for a consultation with his crew. He's headed right for the transporter. And that'll be a blow to an awful lot of fans of the Hueytown, Alabama superstar. Allison has thrown in the towel, but not so the crew of 97 Ted Musgrave. They are still under that machine trying to cure whatever is the problem. It appears it's obviously at the rear of the car. They've got the grease can out, so that would indicate it's some kind of a differential problem with that quick change rear end. We'll try to check in. In fact, there is the rear cover for the quick change. In fact, that's a replacement. They're doing some major work, and it's going to cost Ted Musgrave any chance he might have had of finishing up high. Stay with us.
Scattered throughout the beautiful rolling hills around Nashville are some wonderful old mansions. This particular one, Belle Meade, is one of the most famous. Built back in the 1850s and now preserved as a landmark and used for special kinds of social functions. The kind of fact that Evans and I never seem to get invited to.
Speak for yourself, Yates. Dick Trickle, we're riding with him one more time. He is down in the 9th spot, a lap down. Here's all the cars that are on the lead lap. Those five: Miller, Martin, Seneca, Fair, and Crouch. Now down at least a lap, there's Jody Ridley in the 6th spot, just one lap down. Then Kenny Wallace in the 7th spot. Darrell Waltrip continues to move up into 8th. Dick Trickle 9th. And Rusty Wallace, those were tire problems that brought him into the pits. He has slipped down to 10th.
Okay, there's Kenny in the number 6 car right behind him. That orange and white number 17 at Darrell Waltrip. So these two guys have been together most of the day, kind of banging fenders, and I'm sure Darrell has given Kenny some on-track driving lessons. As Waltrip, as you know, is a veteran of this racetrack. He came here back in the late 1960s for the first time. Told me when he was a kid he was as wild as they come, bounced off every fence in the place, but went on, of course, to become one of the all-time racing greats. And now, let's go down to Steve Evans, who has caught up with Bobby Allison in the garage.
Well, there was nobody on that racetrack running any faster than Bobby Allison, with the possible exception of Butch Miller. Well, about a third of the way in, the car just started to fly.
Well, really, the car ran good the whole time, but early on there was an awful lot of tight racing, and I decided to not bend any fenders up if I could help it. So I just waited till things sorted out a little, and then you know, I was real happy with how the Miller American Buick was running. You know, it's a brand new car from Dillon, and the Wagner engine, it really was strong, but apparently either something happened in the oil system or it ran out of oil.
Well, thanks for a great show while it lasted.
Thank you.
And speaking of great shows, that's Bob Seneca sitting in the 3rd spot. Right behind him, Harold Fair in that black 81 car. They are battling it out. Harold has had some good pit stops and has moved up through the field to hold on to that 4th spot. He's a veteran of this kind of competition and always a factor in these races. Although right now, Seneca's moving around our man Steve Grissom, who's back on the racetrack, Steve.
And Seneca, the 84 car, the blue machine, he is running the 3rd spot. He goes around Grissom, Brock, and Steve is out there after all of his heating problems, still carrying our onboard camera. He is 2 laps down, but still bringing us some fine pictures. Thank you, Mr. Grissom.
And hanging on in the 16th spot in this race, which is no bad thing considering the amount of time he did spend in the pits. But right now, he just can't hold the pace. And Harold Fair in that black car moves by to pass Steve as well. That doesn't affect his position because he's already a couple of laps behind. There's your leader. Butch Miller goes down into turn number 3. Now, you notice he stays kind of low in there, Steve, because there's a big bump right in the center lane of that thing, and you either go high or low, or else you can get the car really out of shape. So Miller really unchallenged at this point. Ever since Bobby Allison fell by the wayside, he's really had it all his own way. That's a green flag stop for Harold Fair. Remember, he was sitting in the 4th spot, looking real good, but suddenly he has made a stop, which is certainly unscheduled, and that is going to seriously affect his chances of winning this show. So attrition starting to play a major role in this event. And speaking of attrition, let's go to Ted Musgrave, who's also out.
Sorry to see your streak of at least 2nd place finishes end here, but you've done a great job. You've had a good season.
Yeah, we had a good season. It's just that I'm saying that, you know, everybody worked so hard and the car let us down today. And I know, I like to thank everybody that made it possible, though.
Go sit in the shade for a while. Pardon? Go sit in the shade for a while.
Yeah.
maybe go lay under the car and work on the rear end like the other guys, Steve. No trees in the infield, that's for sure. So Musgrave is out, and that breaks the pattern at least. And look at this. Seneca is also apparently coming into the pits. Remember, he led it for a while and was currently sitting in the 3rd spot. So the Door, Michigan veteran is apparently out of the event. He looks like he's not going to his pit, Steve, so much as he is just going to park it there.
And with all this attrition, that has moved the blue car of Jody Ridley into the 4th position. But wait a minute. Here comes the yellow car of Kenny Wallace, number 6. He is passing Ridley. He will take 4th. And right behind Ridley now, wanting that 4th position as well, is Darrell Waltrip in the 17 car. And it looks like he's going to get one step closer if he can get around Ridley on the inside. It appears he may have the power and the handling to do that. That will put Waltrip into the 5th spot, trying to gun down the yellow car of young Kenny Wallace. Boy, Wallace's heroes are picking him up one by one, Brock, but they seem to fall out of the race after they do it.
Well, right now, though, Kenny has moved out to maybe a couple of car lengths on Darrell, so he's definitely holding his own. So Kenny Wallace screams past our camera down the front straightaway and down into turn number 1 and 2, and doing a fine job. Waltrip cannot seem to move in on him. In fact, at this, whoa, big crash on the front straightaway. That is car number 82, Billy Bigley Jr., up against the inside fence along the pit rail there. He's a driver from down in Naples, Florida, home of our old swamp buggy pals, and he is definitely out of the race. He's crunched that race car pretty well. Billy's going to get out of that automobile. He started in the 24th spot, really hadn't moved up too far in the field, got tangled coming down the front straightaway. So we're going to have a big, long caution period here, Steve.
Yes, and Billy Bigley Jr. in the 82 car, he tangled with number 4, Bobby Gill. The two of them got together, and a lot of good race car driving goes on right in front of this packed grandstand as everybody except those two cars is able to pick their way through all of the flying fiberglass. Here come the leaders into the pits. Car number 2, Mark Martin, was running 2nd, and there's the man who was leading when he came in, number 52, Butch Miller. He's been getting sensational stops all day, taking on left side tires. Now another man coming in right now who was running 3rd, 48, Robbie Crouch, hoping to get some magic rubber that'll put him out in front of Butch Miller. And Miller's crew again sends him out without a drink of water. Another incredibly quick stop for the man who has dominated Stock Car Connection racing. And how about the Thunderbird of Mark Martin? He had a fair stop himself. He will go out there again to try to hunt down Miller. And here's the 48 car, came in 3rd and probably will go out 3rd as well, as all of the real players have come in and pitted. Let's see if we can raise Mark Martin on our radio.
Mark Martin, this is Steve Evans, Diamond T.
Yeah, come on.
Well, Mark, your stop looked to be maybe a little bit longer than you would have liked. Was there a particular problem they were trying to correct?
Well, we've been loose since the start of the race. We've been real fortunate to be able to keep up as good as we have and be able to be here on the lead lap and be as close as we are. I think we'll get the car right, and I think we're going to give Butch a run for his money before it's over, but we'll just have to keep adjusting till then.
All right, thanks for chatting with us.
So Mark Martin still concerned about the handling on that number 2 automobile. In the meantime, Dick Trickle has fallen well off the pace, but he's still hanging on, the old campaigner that he is. Let's see if Steve can contact him on the radio.
Dick Trickle, Steve Evans, Diamond T. You copy?
I'm on in.
Well, I wish we were talking under happier circumstances, but it appears you've fallen a couple of laps down. The Crystal, the old girl, letting you down a little bit, or what?
Well, as you know, we ran real good. We got on the pace with tires and didn't put left side tires on. Ran that whole last green with wore out tires on left side. The car just wouldn't go. So we put left side tires on that time because we're only allowed 2 tires for yellow. And we should have changed left earlier. We changed right.
Well, how much of this do you think you can make up? You can still win this thing with the amount of laps remaining?
We're just going to drive this old Silver Bull as hard as we can. You know, we're kind of down now, but we're going to put on a show and try to race.
You always drive as hard as you can. Thanks for talking with us.
So Dick Trickle got his hands full. He's going to have to make the comeback of his life here in the Miller All-American 400. We'll be back.
Dick Trickle sawing on that steering wheel, trying to keep the tires warm. We're still under caution here in Nashville. 3 cars on the lead lap. Butch Miller, Mark Martin, and Robbie Crouch. Trickle, as you can see here, is 2 laps down, actually, the number 99 car. And Steve Grissom, our other camera car, even though he's had overheating problems, he is in the 9th spot in that number 31 machine. And we are going to get a start, Brock Gates.
All right, you saw Dick Trickle kick that transmission down into 4th gear as he comes off turn number 4 to take the green flag. And the leader is Butch Miller in that 52 car. But there's an interesting strategy right behind him. 98, Jody Ridley, 17, Darrell Waltrip are a lap down in 4th and 5th. Now, if they can get by Butch, they will move on to the lead lap and basically back into contention. So this is an important moment in this race. There goes Ridley down low, heading toward turn number 1, and he is going to try to muscle past Butch.
He does it, and look at the move by Waltrip. The 17 car, a sensational pass. He also is around the leader. He has unlapped himself. Dick Trickle would have to do that 2 times before he'd be back on the lead lap. Now, we just saw right in front of Dick Trickle, Mark Martin, the number 2 car. Now, if he can get around Butch Miller, he won't just be unlapping himself. He will be the new leader. Now, Miller told us, there you see Mark Martin right in front of Trickle. Now, Miller told us on the radio that when he stops and gets tires, it takes the car a few laps to come to him, Brock, and maybe that accounts for why they're all getting around him now.
I don't know what it is, Steve, but you can see that Mark Martin is only about 4 or 5 car lengths behind Butch Miller. So he is moving into challenge. And there you see Dick Trickle, who's following Martin right on through. He figures, hey, good man to follow in this deal, right? So there is Trickle going a little bit low. In fact, he looks like he can run right with Mark Martin at this point. So the tire change has definitely paid off for Trickle. Unfortunately, he's 2 laps down. There you see, though, the number 2, that dark brown automobile of Mark Martin's right behind the white 52 of the leader, Butch Miller. And now let's go to Bob Seneker.
You're running in second. I know it's tough to drop out of a race even if you're last, but second place running so strong. What put you out?
I think we broke a drive shaft. That's what it felt like.
A drive shaft? Well, that's usually a pretty tough part, isn't it, on one of these guys?
So they told me broke. Something in the transmission was shaking around, so something broke under there.
So apparently a vibration set in and you just couldn't drive the car, or did you lose power to the rear wheels?
No, it just broke all of a sudden. Yeah, we lost power to the rails.
All right, Bob Seneker is out. He was fixing to give Butch Miller a fight.
He sure was, Steve, but finished for the day like so many other guys like Musgrave and Bobby Allison, who we thought would be contenders here.
Well, Butch doesn't need Seneker to have a fight on his hands. Number 2, the 4th Thunderbird of Mark Martin, the brown machine, is making up car lengths every lap of the 52 car. You can see here, Brock, that's the 3rd car in that string, the brown number 2. He's in the 2nd spot and on the move.
Well, you know what? I think Miller has got more problems than just kind of getting sorted out after that stop. He is very much slower than he was. I think it could be tires that are affecting that automobile because Martin is right on his bumper. In fact, he's going to take him on the outside. Now, that says something as we have a new leader now. Mark Martin just blows by Butch Miller. And I'll tell you what, you don't pass Butch Miller on the outside on any racetrack if he's running right.
Nor do you drive away from him, as Martin is doing now. And that validates your theory about the tires. There's certainly no smoke from the engine, nothing else really that it could be on these cars. Mark Martin, he has struggled a little bit today, but he just never lost that perseverance. And here he leads by now a half a dozen car lengths and more.
Well, he started in 3rd spot here, stayed with the leaders all day, had a couple of slow pit stops early in the going, but right now he's saying bye-bye to Butch Miller. There is 48, Robbie Crouch, sitting in the 3rd spot. The young driver from up in Vermont is right now running alone, and he too has had some problems in pit stops during the course of this race, but has moved back to a point where he's pretty well sitting right as Butch Miller continues to slow down and fall back.
Well, Butch Miller is slowing down as if he's going into the pits. Yes, he is. He makes the left turn around that infield quarter mile. Remember, his pit is all the way back over to turn number 4. So let's see what they do in this car. And my bet is the same as yours, Brock. They'll go right to those right side tires. Yep, there's the jack.
Absolutely a terribly costly stop for Butch Miller. We're under green here. And being as how these guys are lapping at about 19 seconds a lap, he'll be lucky if he doesn't go down at least 2 laps before he gets underway.
But you know, no discretion the better part of Miller here in the closing laps, because if Miller continued to push that car on those worn-out tires, he might have crashed a very valuable machine and his very valuable body as well.
Well, it appears right now, though, as we watch Darrell Waltrip moving around this racetrack, and right behind him, Dick Trickle in the 99. Waltrip has moved into the 3rd spot with that stop by Butch Miller. Miller, apparently, unless a miracle happens, is going to have his string of 3 consecutive Stock Car Connection races broken right now.
Okay, there are only 5 laps to go on this slightly bigger than a half-mile oval, so there's not much time left. Robbie Crouch knows that, and he's pushing that car as hard as he can. Oh, a big tangle on the front straightaway. This is the last thing Mark Martin needed to happen. A yellow flag is going to slow the field. Bad news for Mark.
It sure is. That's 09 Ricky Craven and 45 Dave Jackson. They almost collected Mark Martin into going. There is Jackson out of the race car. I don't know what he's doing. He's telling it to put out, maybe got a little fire up front there. Craven, he's all bent up in that 09 car. So we're going to have a long caution. Let's take another look at this thing, Steve.
Well, apparently number 1 Jeff Neal and 45 Dave Jackson got together. That's 45 Jackson up against the wall, and here joining the party is 09 Ricky Cravens, and he just rams Jackson. So there's a lot of debris all over this racetrack, and 3 cars that are hurt pretty badly.
Well, fortunately, the drivers are not. They're okay, but it was a pretty hairy crash at one of the fastest parts of this racetrack. As we watch, there is Mark Martin right in the center that's just missing the 45 car of Dave Jackson. So we almost took the leader out, which will radically change the standings in this event.
Well, it's been a long, tough day for Dave Jackson. He has been involved in 2 crashes in his car number 45, and there's the record. Offer him a hook back to the garage area. All right, the leaders are coming in. There is 48 Robbie Crouch. He was running 3rd. Waltrip is also in the 17 car, but no sign of the leader, Mark Martin, in the number 2 Ford Thunderbird. Now, he's not out there hoping this race will finish under yellow, because under Stock Car Connection rules, that cannot happen. It has got to be a green flag last lap. Waltrip has beaten Crouch out of the pits, pulls up alongside Dick Trickle. That will make Waltrip the number 2 driver. Let's go to Brock and try to find out why Mark Martin did not come in.
Steve, I'm with Bill Davis, crew chief on Mark Martin's car, and it's decision time right now. Bill, Waltrip and Crouch came in, but you guys are going to hang on out there, right?
We're going to stay out. Mark didn't have any brakes. The car is real out of brakes. But we think with him in the back of the pack and 5 and Bill, maybe we can...
He's happy. Tires are working okay right now, huh?
The best we've had the car. We fought a loose car all day. The car hadn't turned right, hadn't steered right, but you know, we're hoping for the best.
How about fuel? He's got plenty of that left.
We're in real good shape. We can finish the race. If we just had some brakes, we'd be in a whole lot better shape.
Well, we sure wish you luck. He's been doing a super job out there.
Thanks a whole lot.
I don't have to tell you, stock car fans, that what we have coming up is a good old-fashioned Southern-style shootout. Stay with us in Nashville.
This giant crowd here in Nashville is on its feet awaiting the final shootout, but the leader, Mark Martin, has problems. Steve Evans is on the radio trying to find out the difficulty.
Mark Martin, this is Steve Evans, Diamond T. If you don't want to talk, I will understand.
Okay, I'll talk. No problem.
All right, well, there was some reports your brakes were going away, and all of a sudden Miller appeared to lose his tires just when you needed all that to happen.
Well, it's really sad. These guys had to wreck here with 4 laps to go. You know, you'd think with 4 laps to go, they'd try to keep it clean and finish the race, but I guess that's the way it goes. We had her in the bag, now it's going to be a show for you, so just hang tight and watch this one. We're going to hope we can put this Ford Thunderbird in the winner's circle.
We got 11 cameras on it. Believe me, we wouldn't miss this for the world. Thank you.
So with 4 laps left, here's the situation. Mark Martin, no brakes, leads it. Darrell Waltrip, having beaten Robbie Crouch out of the pits, has a chance, as does Crouch. They are the only 3 drivers on the lead lap.
But there's 7 cars down a lap or more who could be a big factor, because they are between second place Darrell Waltrip and first place Mark Martin. Right now, let's talk to a man who appeared to have this race in a bag and now sees his undefeated season going away.
Butch Miller, this is Steve Evans, Diamond T.
Oh, Steve.
You know, Butch, after all our very happy conversations today, this one a little bit sadder. Those tires went away on you in a hurry.
Yeah, we lost the right front. I think it had a slow leak in it, and we tried to make it to the, to the next yellow. Yeah, the next yellow came about. Never came about.
Well, they're still showing you in 4th position. 1 lap down. Good luck the last 4.
Okay, but I'm afraid Trickle just put on new rubber. We're going to end up 5th.
Okay, we'll see. Thank you.
All right, as we get ready, this is the crew of Mark Martin, apprehensive to say the least. They know their driver is brakeless, has no brakes at all. The little trying to a brave smile there, but that is Waltrip's crew. You can be sure that their man is going to make a wild charge for the lead. Right in front of him is Dick Trickle, and as Butch Miller said, he's got fresh rubber on, so he won't be easy to get by.
No, he will not. And what Waltrip's crew has got to be concerned about are those 7 cars, I repeat, between Darrell in the 17 car and Mark Martin in the number 2 car. Darrell has only got 4 laps on a little over a half-mile oval to pass 7, actually 8 cars to take the lead. But let's remember that here comes Darrell already. Look at this. He squeezes Trickle outside. Waltrip driving with total abandon.
Absolutely down the front straightaway. Right in front of him is Butch Miller, that beautiful orange 17 car. Watch it. A clear track for this man, Mark Martin, but no brakes. Here comes Waltrip on the high side. Past Miller. Down into turn number 4. He's going to get underneath Rusty Wallace.
Now Miller shows some real professionalism there. He didn't hold up, Darrell, and neither is Rusty Wallace. Some gentleman racing going on among those lap cars.
Absolutely. Letting the man through. Letting him have his shot at Mark Martin, as it should be. So Mark Martin has moved out, still holding out pretty well, but now Waltrip is clear of traffic, and his sights are on that number 2 car, Mark Martin.
2 laps to go. There's your leaders running nose to tail. Mark Martin 4th under the 2 car. Waltrip looks inside, decides, wait a minute, we got a little bit of time left here. Let's not have any contact. Now Waltrip is going to go high. He is high on the high side, right in the rim, and he's going to get him.
Down the front straightaway, this giant crowd goes crazy. The white flag is out. One final lap. The hometown favorite as far back as 10th in this race. A lap down, comes back to apparently win it. Fantastic off turn number 4. Down toward the checkered flag. Darrell Waltrip wins the Miller All-American 400.
And the grandstand is a madhouse. This crew, I think, just a little bit stunned right now, Brock. They can't believe it. They ran in the middle of the pack all day, but the kind of driving Darrell Waltrip is so capable of, slowly but surely. They were just always there, a little unobtrusive, but there. And what a finish. Wow.
Well, he needed that crash probably 4 laps from the end, but the great professional he is, he took advantage of it to win in front of his hometown crowd. My favorite track, he called it, and he proved it. Absolute pandemonium in victory lane as Darrell Waltrip wins it in front of the hometown fans. Mark Martin falls back to 2nd. Robbie Crouch in 3rd, the only man on the lead lap, as the hero of the moment climbs out of his orange and white Camaro. Darrell Waltrip up on the roof. Steve is worming his way through the crowd.
The hometown fans have gone crazy for Darrell Waltrip. The track that he raced on so many Saturday nights and so many Sundays, all those many years, has been good to him one more time. A family reunion happening down here as well. The roof of the 17 car getting scratched, but who cares, Darrell? You just hung tough all day.
Well, we got a lap down, and we made it up, and we got a lap down, and we made it up. We just kept adjusting the car, and it really came around to the end.
You've won so many races in your career this way. Just kind of hanging back there, and suddenly at the end, you are there.
Well, this track changes. It goes through a lot of different situations for throughout the day. And at the ends when it counts, that's the way we set the car up. The problem we were having was we couldn't get to the end for getting a lap down all the time.
Well, you got to be glad you tried the stock car connection this afternoon.
Well, Eddie and Donnie, I don't know where Donnie is, but they work their hearts out for me. They have all week. And the Tide Machine, Exxon, everybody, just everything went great. And I knew when I got ahead of Butch, I could win the race. And I was almost crying on the radio. I told Eddie, I said, Eddie, how am I going to get to that 2 car? And he said, he didn't get no tires. Don't worry about him. You can beat him.
Well, when I talked to the 2 car on the radio, he was about crying because he had a feeling that that was going to happen.
I couldn't believe how much slower they were and how much faster we were. It was just incredible.
He was a little out of brakes. Congratulations.
Thank God for a safe day and a safe race. And this one's for Jessica.
Brand new baby girl in the Waltrip family. Gets the second race dedicated to her this year.
What a race, what a finish. From Nashville, I'm Brock Yates for Steve Evans. Thanks for joining us.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is Harvey M. Palish. Produced and directed by John B. Mullen. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by the Style Auto World Championship Team, the nation's premier source of fast lane fashions. Style Auto, the champion's choice for the style of your life. The American Sports Cavalcade is a presentation of Diamond P Sports.